Hi everybody, I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all are having a great day today. I'm out here in my front yard and I wanted to show you a little bit of my fruit trees and garden, and I wanted to talk about the topic of abundance. So you may notice on my channel a little bit more of a shift towards abundance as opposed to nothingness or emptiness. So it's all one, it's all seamless the same thing, because out of nothing appears everything. So abundance is just part of the nature of reality, just like emptiness or nothingness is. It's the same. So it's all occurring together at the same time. So everything you see is nothing. And it can be anything and everything. It's so infinite that it holds all of the abundance and everything. So everything on its own is abundant and infinite. So a strand of hair, a skin cell, this cushion here, everything has its own limitless, infinite. You can just study it, so deeply. You can go infinitely deep into each thing that is appearing. But in the end, it is just nothing. So out of nothingness comes everything. Everything is more nothing than it is actually physically material, right? So even in science, it is actually more nothing than it is physical. So our physical reality only appears to be like a solid physical thing. So if we can kind of shift our idea about what is our reality, how it's, we think it's a hard physical thing. It is, but it's occurring out of nothing. So anyhow, everything that we see is abundant. The nature of reality is abundant. So again, if we look around and just observe our surroundings, we begin to see how abundant everything is in our existence. So even in the time where I was in my state of just being, so I had a non-dual realization at some point last year. And during that time, I kind of retreated more into solitude. And I was more in the state of being, not so much in the state of, doing things and shifting or having any desires really. I was very much in just being and accepting everything that just appeared. So in that state, it was very beautiful, and that's the state where you give space for everything else to appear. So our lives, our mind, everything becomes full and abundant with whatever it is that we are resonating with, whatever it is that we are identifying with. Those sorts of things begin to fill up our minds and our lives. And as a shift happens, we have to give space for new things, and that naturally occurs. So it's not something that you have to do. So when I had my non-dual realization, I naturally started to lose friends that no longer resonated with me. I started to have more time. For some reason, just time began to increase for me. I had more time to do the things that I wanted, to relax, to enjoy, to sit, to be in these flows of things, to express my creativity through writing, through drawing, through painting. All of these things began to flourish in that time. And in that time, I began to, things began to fall away just naturally. And that allowed for space for whatever else I wanted to come next. So that is just the natural progression of things, and you'll notice that in your life as you're resonating maybe with these videos, or you're working on yourself through inner work, or whatever it is. You may notice that parts of you and parts of your life will maybe fall away, or your attention there will diminish and it'll go on to something else. And that's just giving space for the next thing. But everything is always very, very abundant. So the only time we experience lack or we're missing something is in our perception and misidentifying who we are. So one of the things that we can do to identify whether or not we are aligning ourselves with what we truly are, which is divine and powerful, and we are limitless, boundless, and there's infinite possibilities for us to move through. And if we are identifying with anything other than those things, then we begin to experience suffering or emotional suffering. So we will have anger, sadness, and these are more warning signs to you as the person that something is not right. You're misidentifying what you are in this situation. So this sort of thing still occurs. Just like thoughts occur, emotions still occur. So I wanted to talk about emotions as well in this video and kind of focus it a little bit on emotions, and also showing you a little bit at the end of a tour of my garden and the abundance that has happened this year. So going back to emotions, emotions are kind of our warning signs. Let's say if you imagine a car has the little warning lights that come on the dash. When something is wrong with your car, a different warning light will come on. Let's say it's tire pressure light's low. Okay, so now you need to fill the tire air a little bit more, or maybe there's something wrong with the engine, or maybe the oil light comes on. So you have warning signs in different situations to address. The same thing happens within the body, and you can body scan to see how you're feeling. If something doesn't feel right, you feel tight, constricted, that sort of feeling, there's something there as a warning sign saying, hey, you're not identifying yourself right. You're more than that. You're limiting yourself. So that will happen in a body scan. Just, you can feel it. Maybe your jaw gets tense, maybe your hands clench up. You will notice different body scan signs, in your body when these things are happening. Or even louder, you'll experience emotions, which could be strong emotions or mild emotions, or maybe some subtle ones. But generally, you may experience something like a strong emotion of sadness, and that's telling you you're not identifying yourself correctly in that situation. So, for example, if I'm identifying that I'm feeling sad because I feel that after I had an argument with a friend, that my friend no longer cares about me. There's something there in my body saying, hey, no, that's not true. The thought that you're having is not in line with what you truly are. Your friend is part of you. Your friend is love. Your friend and you are always connected because you are one. So it's like a warning sign saying, hey, wait, stop. That thought that you had, it's not true. So these emotions are actually helpers for you. You can think of them as helpers. Let's say you're experiencing anger because you missed out on an opportunity, or you didn't get a promotion at work or something like that, and now you're angry. Well, that's also a warning sign. Hey, something's wrong here. You're misidentifying yourself. So in what ways could you be misidentifying yourself in that situation? Well, what you truly are is boundless, limitless, and it has infinite possibilities. So because that one possibility of you having that promotion didn't happen for whatever reason, maybe, it could have been anything. Well, that didn't happen. You can realize who you are, what you really are in your true nature, and obtain either that same promotion or something else, because that version of you does exist. You are not powerless. You have not lost anything here. You are always in your power. You're just not identifying it correctly. So when you're not identifying your power correctly, the body feels at dis-ease. So it's not doing well. And it could even create a disease from feeling so dis-ease. So when you're not in line with who you are, there's problems there. And you will experience it through emotions, through problems in your body, through illness. All of these are warning signs, just like a warning sign light on a car dash if something's wrong. So it's something to look at and experience and see, okay, what is it that I'm feeling? And I still experience this. There's times that I made a video in the past. It was called "Do Thoughts Still Happen After a Non-Dual Awakening?" because I was getting a lot of questions from people asking, am I experiencing thoughts? Am I still thinking about things? How can I make these videos? How am I thinking? Well, yes, thoughts still happen, but you have to discern them. Are they real? Are they in line, in fact, with what you truly are? Or are they false? Because a lot of thoughts are just automatic thoughts that are just happening. And when they just happen that way, they're happening based on past experiences. So they're happening on your conditioning from how you grew up, what other people taught you, what you saw, what you experienced, what you learned. All of those things are all part of you, and they're just working subconsciously until you become conscious and aware of what is happening here. So without being conscious of it, all of this stuff is still happening. The same way it's happening for me, it's happening for you. Only some people are conscious of it and some people are not, of how it's happening. And so if you're conscious that your thoughts are just happening subconsciously and just automatically, you realize they're not fact. And also after non-dual realization, your thoughts kind of go to the background because you realize there's not so much attention from the brain about those thoughts. Whereas before, the brain is very interested in thoughts. It's very interested in what you're thinking, what's happening. It's building stories around thoughts. That doesn't really happen very much anymore. But again, so now switching that back to emotions, I've also had the question a lot, do emotions happen? So this video is kind of based around that. Emotions happen. After a non-dual realization, they happen always. There is really no real shift that anybody can identify. Only the person can identify when they shift, had a non-dual realization or some kind of shift in their perception. Only the person can see that. No one else can see that, but you know when you now are identifying yourself correctly. So when that happens, all of that happens naturally. But otherwise, you just need to harness your power and know who you are and discern your thoughts. And that's something that I had learned a long time ago in the Bible. And it's not about my thoughts necessarily. I was taught when I was in the Christian faith to discern prophecies, like if somebody prophesizes over you, or if somebody gives you a Bible verse or says that they were called to tell you something, you're supposed to discern it. And it talks about that in the Bible. But now having this realization and seeing how thoughts are actually the majority of the time false, I believe what was spoken in the Bible there was to discern everything, including our thoughts, including our emotions, especially our emotions. If we can discern our emotions, we can get back on track with our divine nature and that godlike consciousness that we are actually part of, that is our nature. So if we can pay attention to those emotions and not block them, not ignore them, not bypass them, but go into them and feel them and explore them to where they tell you, hey, I'm coming up because you're misidentifying yourself. You're not this little person. You are this other person that is able to do anything and everything in this power. Everything's happening within, so you have the power. You're not this little person whose power is outside of you, whose power is based on what the boss says, whether or not you get hired in this company. No, your power comes from within, and from within, whatever is here and your desires, they happen in the outside world. So you're seeing it flipped, and that's why your emotions are signaling to you that something is wrong. So emotions still do happen, and they are very good warning signs of whether or not you are identifying yourself correctly. And you could have any kind of identity, like we've talked about identity shifting. You could be identifying as a stay-at-home mom, as a teacher, as a doctor. You could be identifying as a billionaire, as an explorer. Who knows? It doesn't really matter what you're identifying with, what your role is here, or what you're doing here in this world. But deep down inside, you know whether or not you're identifying yourself correctly in your divine nature, harnessing all of your power. So you will know that in your heart. You could even be a homeless person and still be in your power. So it just depends. It's what you want and what you know about yourself and what you allow for yourself. One good way to see if you are in line with what you truly are is how other people treat you. Do they respect you? Do you have that? If you don't have respect from others, you definitely don't have respect for yourself. So you got to work on those emotions of identifying them and just seeing, am I okay here? Is the way that I see myself the correct way, or am I seeing myself as much less? It's kind of like having low self-esteem or low self-worth. If you're in the state of low self-esteem or low self-worth, you're not able to do a whole lot. You're very limited. You get left out, or you don't even initiate or try things because of your low self-esteem. Same thing can happen when you're not identifying yourself as your true nature. It's the same thing. So you can flip it and think of it that way, as having low self-esteem as opposed to knowing that you are worthy, because we are all worthy for just being born. Of course, no one's born or dies. We're all in connection. We're all one and happening as it is, and it's always been here in this moment. But you know, all of this, we take it personally. You know, I'm not just speaking from a metaphysical world that we can't see. I'm also speaking from the physical world that we can see. So my videos are not just focused on the spiritual only. I'm also focused on the physical and what we live here and having a good life. Because in the end, it doesn't matter if you've had a spiritual awakening and done all these things. You have to choose what you want to do here in this life. Like they say, chop wood, carry water, everything continues on. It's just, what do you want? Now you're free. So you're free to choose, and you're free to identify yourself correctly at all times, which is what gives you the power to move freely from anything and everything. So that is what I wanted to talk about, more focused on emotions. Emotions do happen after non-dual awakening. And if you don't know what a non-dual awakening is or anything like that, that doesn't matter. Emotions are happening for you. And emotions are a warning sign to you that something is out of alignment, especially if it's more considered a negative emotion, sadness, anger, anxiety, guilt, shame. All of those emotions are a warning sign that you're out of alignment. If you're experiencing happiness, pleasure, relaxation, enjoyment, contentment, all of those emotions are in line. They feel good in the body. When you body scan your body, you feel good, you feel relaxed, you feel bigger, you feel open, you feel expansive, you feel like you're just floating, you feel in love. If you're feeling those feelings, you are in line with what you truly are. When you feel tight, constricted, small, you know, you just become a small person, you're not in line with who you are. What you are is boundless. You must feel boundless. If you don't feel boundless, you're not in line with what you are. And there's nothing wrong if you're not in line with what you are. That's what's happening in this moment. But you can switch it at any point. If it doesn't feel good in the body, switch it. You know, so, you know, you don't have to stay there. There's nothing wrong with what's happening with you. Everything that happens is totally perfect. It's already here and now. It can't be changed. It exists in infinity. But what you can do is you can switch it if you don't like it. There's another option for you. There's a whole catalog of options for you that you can choose. So I hope that you can see that, and I hope that that will open up a world of possibilities for you, and you will just choose the one that is the best and most authentic to you. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a like. If you have any questions or comments or anything, comment down below. Email me if you would like. I have written a book in the past about my twin flame journey to that non-dual awakening that I speak of. If you're interested in that, I have that link down below. Thank you so much for watching.